Spin from Independent TV, bringing you the lowdown on which TV shows are binge-worthy and which ones are bin-worthy. This week, we've been watching the third and final series of His Dark Materials and Netflix documentary Harry and Meghan.
And we'll introduce you to our pick of hidden gems we think you should be watching.
Ellie?
Hey Jacob, Annabelle's not around today, but I couldn't let you go too long without talking about TV, so why don't you tell me what you've been watching?
Well, I've been watching His Dark Materials, the third and final series, which is finally here. Coming this Christmas. I think all 8 episodes are going to be shown over the Christmas period, so you don't have to wait a week between each episode. It's a series based on the Philip Pullman books, and I think he's compressed them all into 3 series, which is quite impressive considering there's a lot of material there and the world is so expansive. But it focuses on Lyra, who is an orphan, played by Daphne Keane, and she is trying to save the world from the evil clutches of the Magisterium, led by Mrs. Coulter, played by Ruth Wilson. I mean, if you thought she was a villain in Luther, well, you ain't seen anything yet. She's really ominous in this, and she brings such a unnerving gravitas to the whole thing that you wouldn't expect from a show that is aimed at kids as well as adults. You've got Lin-Manuel Miranda as Lee Scoresby, flying around in his hot air balloon. You've got Andrew Scott, who everyone loves Andrew Scott, and he's great in this. He's doing something a bit different in this. He's not the lovable Andrew Scott that he usually is in lots of things. James McAvoy as well, who is kind of absent in a lot of the show actually, but his name is always mentioned, and you're always wondering when it feels like he's always waiting in the wings to swing in and appear.
I am gathering the greatest from every world, from even the heavens above. And I would risk everything to ensure victory. What are you willing to risk?
I mean, I've not read the books, which is kind of sacrilege, and I think the show is being made in mind for the people who have read the books, and it's got such a fan base. It's like Harry Potter and Lord of the Rings, and you've got the Pullman fans out there. But I'm someone who hasn't read the books, and I really like it. So I don't know if Jack Thorne, who's the guy who's brought this show to life, was intending that, but he's nailed it if so. And I know people who love the books who love the show as well. But Series 3 is more convoluted than ever before, because I think they've probably been told they've got to wrap it up in one more series, when it could have probably been 2. But do you know what? It's fine. It's just like, it moves at breakneck speed. I would probably recommend watching it with someone, or speaking to someone after who is a fan of the books. They can kind of maybe tell you a few things that you might have missed on. You might have kind of missed in a few scenes, because I think every word counts in this show, because the world it's depicting is so layered with details, and as well I think they've got a bit more money this year around, because it looks visually really impressive, better than ever before. So I think all in all, His Dark Materials, if you're a fan or you've been following it for the past series, it's actually a bit of a home run.
Yeah, well, that sounds like a binge to me, but I'll let you decide.
But I would say it's a binge. I'm joking. No, it's a binge. It's a big binge. And it's a Christmas binge.
Hope will spark in darkness.
I have been watching, along with the rest of the world it seems, the Harry and Meghan documentary on Netflix. There was huge build up to this series. I mean, I even tried to get some info out of Netflix, and they said, off the record, we have nothing we can tell you about this. So it was kind of a double downing on, this is absolutely confidential. The first 3 episodes were dropped last Thursday, and the second batch of them arrived this week. The documentary is directed by an Oscar-winning filmmaker called Liz Galbus, and she's worked on lots of documentaries with public figures before, from kind of Marilyn Monroe to Bobby Fischer and Nina Simone.
She's becoming a royal rock star.
And then
Everything changed.
It's been an interesting one, because the trailers for both of the batches of episodes have really kind of teased these kind of major revelations and come out with these sort of huge sound bites. But so far, from what I've seen, it's kind of been a bit of a case of, you know, all of the excitement and revelations coming out in the trailer, but then the actual series not necessarily delivering on these, you know, these big stories, or there's kind of quite a lot of vague reference to lots of things that might have gone on, but there's not really the specifics there, so it's difficult to get a handle on what actually happened. You know, Harry and Meghan have been, quite rightly I think, so upset by how much of their life has been against their will kind of spilled onto the pages, and how many kind of column inches have been dedicated to it. But now, kind of in quite a dystopian way, they almost don't know how to exist without the beast that they've been fighting against, and they're kind of existing within this world where they now have to feel like they are showing, you know, like personal, intimate footage of their relationship together and telling their side of the story, when actually they've been trying to fight for privacy all along. So it's one of those documentaries where there's been a lot of hype for it, a lot of anticipation, you know, what are we going to find out? But then actually on watching the episodes, you don't really feel like they're delivering on this kind of big sort of bombshell revelations that they were teasing. So yeah, it's one of those, it's nice watch, easy to watch, and you know, there's little kind of moments of entertainment, but you know, all around it feels like a little bit of a damp squib.
I don't know, for me, looking, it looks like a bit of a cheap tactic from Netflix to throw it out there, because it's just, they've not really cared about if it, you know, they would have put it out there, whoever, regardless of who directed it or who put it together. And yeah, anyway.
Yeah.
What's your verdict?
Yeah.
Is it, would you say it is a binge or a bin? Because I'm sure it's easy to binge, but is it a binge or a bin?
I would say all round. I mean, it's the Christmas period, there's lots of parties to be going to, and there's plenty of other things to be binging. So I think in the end, this is a bin.
No one knows the full truth. We know the full truth.
So next, we're going to talk about some hidden gems, which are shows we've loved for a long time, or not so long, but we think that you should move to the top of your watch list. I don't think enough people watched it, and it's Apple TV Plus's Pachinko, which is a drama based on a 2017 novel by Min Jin Lee, and it's got some really good like clout to it. Like, firstly, the production values are incredible, but it was actually developed by Soo Hugh, who actually ran the first series of The Terror, not the second one, which wasn't anywhere near as good as the first. So already you're like, okay, this is cool. And you've got directing some episodes, you've got Kogonada, who's a director of Columbus and the year's best film after Yang, which stars Colin Farrell and Jodie Turner-Smith, and it's honestly the best film of the year, and he's directed a lot of episodes of one of the best TV shows of the year. So it's been a great year for Kogonada.
생길 끼다. 꼭 버티낼 끼다. 반드시 헤쳐나갈 끼다.
You know, there's no meaty premise. All it is that it's 4 generations of a Korean immigrant family who've moved to Tokyo. You kind of flash back to the early 1900s, where you've got a character played by Kim Min-ha, who just is probably my favourite performance of the year, as she's just kind of trying to, you know, weather her way through life, just trying to find purpose, and then, you know, jump forward in time, and she's played by Oscar winner Yoon Je-yoon, who won Best Supporting Actress a few years ago for Minari, who's playing her older version of herself, living in Tokyo, you know, as a Korean immigrant, and just kind of grappling with what her life was, what it could have been, and just the heritage that's kind of escaped her over her life, and how the new generations kind of have no idea what she went through. It's just a really staggeringly written show, obviously based on the book, and just really moving, really poignant. There are some episodes that really hone in on, you know, points of history that I'm really certain that a lot of people in England and America who watch it will have no idea about. So I think it's an important show as well in that respect.
상상해본 적 한 번도 없어? 다른 선택을 했다면 어떻게 살았을지.
엄마, 왜 그래요?
My hidden gem is a show called Lazy Susan, and it's essentially a sketch show by a kind of comedy duo called Freya Parker and Celeste Dring. And actually I first discovered them because I'd been to a show of theirs at Soho Theatre with my family, and it was just one of those where you are sitting in the seats just laughing so much that you're crying, and kind of then very self-conscious that you're having a really OTT reaction, which is just kind of like really disproportionate. So I was delighted to see a few years later I think it was then earlier this year that they finally released the sketch show on BBC Three and iPlayer. It's just absolutely bonkers, like really quite surreal. They essentially do these kind of mini skits and sketches where they're totally different characters each time, completely different haircut, costume, makeup. Sometimes they're men, sometimes they're women, sometimes they're blue bottle flies flying around the house. So yeah, their dramatic range is really impressive stuff.
No theatrics, just go in there, grab the mic, rip this up,
and just say,
this whole wedding is a sham. I did not want any drama today.
Yeah, here we are.
They're just great little kind of observations on those little things that you kind of sometimes think to yourself in your head or laugh about, or that kind of character that you see on the bus or, you know, gossiping as they walk past your window, and they've just taken these kind of very small, kind of shrewd observations of life and just turn them into hilarious kind of mini narratives. And they have a particularly brilliant skit which is pastiching kind of Lana Del Rey music videos, and the lyrics are, "Oh my god, I'm a sleepy girl, I'm the sleepiest girl in the world," and they're kind of just falling around a field and fainting with very long luscious hair. And it's been stuck in my head for genuinely weeks, so that would be my hidden gem, because no one seems to really know about it either.
Well, that's exactly what I need for hidden gem. And I also, you've got a good taste in comedy. I feel like you've got, well, you laugh at my jokes anyway, but I mean, you do generally have a good taste in comedy. So I'm going to add it to my list.
You've got this. Don't give up. You've been so brave. Yes!
Thanks so much for watching Binge or Bin. That's more than enough to keep you going until we see you again next time. Like and comment below and subscribe for more from Independent TV.